She was a self-made millionaire who built an empire brick by brick, but when her husband's jealousy and his mother's lies turned against her, she was thrown out of her own mansion. What they didn't know was that Angela wasn't just building houses, she was building power. And when the truth came out, everything they thought they owned crumbled in their hands. Before we continue, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more stories like this. Now let's dive in. Angela Grant was the kind of woman who carried power quietly. At 36, she had built one of the largest real estate firms in Atlanta, turning small investments into a multi-million-dollar empire. Yet, if you met her on the street, you'd never know it. She wore simple dresses, preferred sneakers to heels, and never bragged about her success. People respected her because she never treated anyone as if they were beneath her. Her husband, Nathaniel Bradford, was handsome, charming, and good at telling stories. He had once been a personal trainer, but after marrying Angela, he no longer worked. At family gatherings, he painted a picture of himself as the hard-working husband providing a dream life for his wife. Angela never corrected him. She didn't like arguments. She thought, let him have his pride. But deep down, Nathaniel resented her. Every time someone praised Angela's brilliance, every time he saw her face on a business magazine cover, it felt like a shadow growing over him. He smiled in public, but at night, he lay awake, thinking, if it weren't for me, she'd still be some little girl from the South Side. I made her. I gave her class. On a warm Friday afternoon, Angela came home from a meeting with city officials about her next housing project. The mansion stood tall on the hill, its glass windows reflecting the pink-gold sky. It wasn't just a house, it was her proof that she had made it from nothing. She opened the front door and called out, "Nate, I'm home." Nathaniel was in the living room, scrolling on his phone. He didn't look up. "You're late," he muttered. Angela set her purse down, smiling. The meeting ran long. "They're approving the deal. That's good news." Nathaniel tossed his phone on the couch. "Always another deal. Always another building. Do you ever slow down?" Angela sat next to him, trying to lighten his mood. "I slow down for you. For us." He leaned back, arms crossed. "Sometimes I feel like I don't even exist in this marriage. People think you do everything." Angela touched his hand. "Because I do the business part. But you're my husband. That's everything to me." Nathaniel pulled away. His pride burned hotter than her kindness could cool. Before he could respond, his phone buzzed. He glanced at the message and smirked. "My mom's coming to stay with us," he announced casually. Angela blinked. "Your mom? When?" "Tomorrow. She says she wants to see how we're living." Angela hesitated. Evelyn Bradford wasn't an easy woman. A sharp tongue, quick judgments, and a heart that seemed made of iron. Angela respected her but had never felt warmth from her. "Tomorrow?" Angela asked softly. "That's fast." Nathaniel shrugged. "She's my mother. She can come whenever she wants." Angela forced a smile, though her chest tightened. "Of course. She's family." Nathaniel gave a satisfied nod. In his mind, having his mother around meant he could shine. Evelyn believed every word he told her, that he was the true provider. Angela wouldn't dare embarrass him in front of his mother. Not Angela, the peacemaker. The next afternoon, Angela made sure the guest wing was perfect. Fresh flowers in the vase, soft white towels folded neatly, and Evelyn's favorite tea stocked in the kitchen. She even told the staff to prepare Evelyn's favorite meal, smothered chicken with collard greens. When the black sedan pulled up, Nathaniel rushed out to greet his mother. Evelyn Bradford stepped out like a queen descending from her throne. She was 60, tall and slim, with silver braids pulled into a bun and sharp brown eyes that missed nothing. "My son," she cried, hugging Nathaniel tightly. "You look thinner. Are you eating?" "I'm good, Ma," Nathaniel said proudly. "Wait till you see the house. I've been working hard for this." Angela stepped forward, smiling warmly. "Welcome, Mrs. Bradford. We're so glad you're here. Evelyn's eyes flicked over Angela, head to toe. She gave a stiff nod. Angela. Inside, Evelyn walked slowly through the grand hallway, her eyes darting across the marble floors, the tall chandelier, the velvet curtains. My, she said. This is a palace. Nathaniel, you've done well for yourself. Angela opened her mouth to respond, but Nathaniel jumped in first. Yes, Ma. Took a lot of hard work, but I wanted to give us the best. Evelyn smiled proudly at her son. That's the Bradford way. Strong men take care of their families. Angela bit her tongue. Her name was on the deed. Her sweat had built this. But she said nothing. She told herself, keep the peace. She's just visiting. Later that evening, at dinner, Evelyn tapped her fork against her plate and frowned. Angela, this chicken is too salty. You don't know how to cook. Angela kept her tone gentle. I asked the chef to prepare it the way you like. Maybe the seasoning was a little heavy this time. Evelyn shook her head. When I was your age, I cooked 3 meals a day for my husband and children. A real wife knows her way around the kitchen. Nathaniel chuckled, sipping his wine. Ma, you know Angela's busy. She's always running around with those houses. Evelyn's eyes narrowed. Busy doing what? Spending your money. The words stung. Angela's fork froze halfway to her mouth. Nathaniel said nothing, letting his mother's assumption stand. Angela placed her fork down slowly. I work in real estate, Mrs. Bradford. That's how. Evelyn cut her off. Oh, I know. Selling houses here and there. But Nathaniel, here's the backbone. A man builds, a woman enjoys. That's how it should be. Angela's chest tightened, but she forced a smile. Yes, Nathaniel smirked at his plate, pleased with the lie he had built. The next morning, Angela came downstairs to find Evelyn rearranging the living room. Cushions moved, paintings tilted, the rug pulled up. Mrs. Bradford, is everything okay? Angela asked. Evelyn pointed to a painting Angela had chosen herself. This is crooked. Too flashy. You should have something more tasteful. I'll have my decorator send a few ideas. Angela tried to laugh lightly. I picked that one because it reminds me of home. Evelyn looked her dead in the eyes. This is Nathaniel's home. And I know what's best for my son. Angela felt her throat tighten. She wanted to shout, this is my house. But Nathaniel walked in, smiling. Wow, Ma. Already fixing things? You're the best. Angela looked at her husband, hoping for support. He avoided her gaze. And just like that, Evelyn claimed her place, not as a guest, but as the ruler of the mansion. Over the next few days, Evelyn's small jabs turned into open disdain. She criticized Angela's clothes, saying her dresses were cheap-looking. She questioned her manners at the dinner table. When friends came to visit, Evelyn introduced the house as my son's mansion, smiling proudly at Nathaniel while Angela sat in silence. One evening, Angela found herself alone in the kitchen with Evelyn. Mrs. Bradford, she said softly, I feel like you don't like me very much. Evelyn gave a cold laugh. It's not about liking you, dear. It's about seeing the truth. My son is a king. He deserves a wife who supports him, not one who hides behind fancy titles and acts like she's the prize. Angela's voice trembled, but she stood firm. I don't think I've ever acted like I was the prize. I've only ever wanted to build something together. Evelyn leaned closer, her eyes sharp. And yet, without him, what are you? Just a girl from nowhere with a lot of money. Money doesn't make you worthy. Don't forget that. Angela's heart ached, but she held her ground. She looked Evelyn in the eye and said, respectfully, Mrs. Bradford, I know who I am. And nothing you say will change that. Evelyn smirked, unconvinced. We'll see. That night, Angela sat in her bedroom alone, staring at the city lights through the tall glass window. Nathaniel was downstairs laughing with his mother. Her chest felt heavy, but her mind was clear. She whispered to herself, "You won't break me. Not in my own house." And though she didn't know it yet, the storm had only just begun. Angela had always believed in patience. She thought patience could smooth rough edges, silence criticism, and even win over hearts hardened by pride. But living under the same roof with Evelyn Bradford was testing her more than she had ever imagined. At first, Evelyn's remarks were sharp but small. A jab about Angela's clothes, a smirk when Angela mentioned her work. But as days stretched into a week, Evelyn's words turned into daggers. One morning, Angela entered the dining room wearing a fitted navy dress for an important investor meeting. Evelyn looked up from her tea and scoffed. "You're going out again?" she asked, raising her eyebrow. "Yes," Angela replied evenly, pouring herself coffee. "I have a meeting downtown." Evelyn stirred her tea with deliberate slowness. A proper wife would be home more often. Nathaniel deserves hot meals, not leftovers from staff. Angela tightened her grip on her coffee cup. "Nathaniel has never gone hungry. I make sure of that." Evelyn's lips curled into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Yes, with his money, of course." Before Angela could answer, Nathaniel entered the room, adjusting his gold watch. "Good morning, ladies," he said, kissing his mother's cheek. "Good morning, my son," Evelyn said warmly. Then she turned to Angela. "You should learn from your husband. He knows what it means to provide." Angela looked at Nathaniel, waiting for him to correct her mother. To say the truth. To acknowledge that she was the one funding everything. But Nathaniel only grinned, sliding into his seat like a king at his throne. "Ma, you always know how to put things right," he said, chuckling. Angela swallowed hard. She reminded herself, "Don't fight. Not yet." That evening, Evelyn hosted a small dinner gathering with some of her church friends who lived nearby. She invited them without asking Angela. By the time Angela learned of it, the table was already set, the house buzzing with chatter. Angela greeted the guests politely, but as the night went on, she became the invisible woman in her own home. Evelyn sat at the head of the table, bragging about Nathaniel. "My son has built such a fine life here," Evelyn said proudly, her voice carrying across the room. "All of this," she gestured around the chandelier-lit dining hall, "is the fruit of his hard work." The guests nodded approvingly. "He's a blessed man," one of them said. Angela felt her heart sink. She wanted to scream the truth. "I built this. I earned every stone, every tile." But she kept silent, forcing a smile. One guest turned to her. "Angela, and what do you do?" Angela smiled politely. "I run a real estate firm. I develop housing and—" "She helps a little here and there," Evelyn interrupted with a wave of her hand. "But Nathaniel carries the family. Always has." The room filled with laughter and nods. Angela's fork hovered above her plate. She glanced at Nathaniel. He didn't even look at her. He just raised his glass, proud of the lie, basking in his mother's praise. Later that night, after the guests left, Angela found Nathaniel in the living room. He was still smiling, sipping whiskey. "You just sat there," she said quietly. Nathaniel looked at her lazily. "What was I supposed to do?" "You were supposed to tell the truth," Angela snapped, her voice trembling with suppressed anger. Nathaniel set his glass down and leaned back. "Why? So you can shine in front of my mother? So she can see me as small while you stand tall?" "No, Angela. I won't do that." Angela's eyes burned with hurt. "This is my house. My money built it. My name is on the deed. And you let her treat me like a beggar at my own table." Nathaniel's smile turned cold. "Maybe you should be grateful. My mother makes you look better than you are. Without me, nobody would take you seriously." Angela stared at him, her chest heavy. For the first time, she wondered if love was still there, or if it had all been swallowed by pride and lies. She went to bed that night with tears soaking her pillow, Evelyn's words echoing in her head, "A proper wife knows her place." The next few days were a battlefield of silent wars. Evelyn moved furniture, replaced Angela's carefully chosen art with old family photos, and even took over the kitchen staff, barking orders as if she were the mistress of the house. Angela tried to stay calm, but the tension grew sharper. Even the staff whispered about it. One afternoon, Angela overheard Evelyn speaking on the phone in the garden. "Yes, child, Nathaniel's mansion is something else," Evelyn said proudly. "He's got it all together. His wife, she's just there." Angela turned away before tears could fall. She promised herself, "This will not break me. But one day, the truth will come out." The breaking point came at a dinner party. Nathaniel had invited colleagues and old friends, and the mansion buzzed with laughter and clinking glasses. Angela wore a flowing emerald dress, her hair pinned neatly. She smiled through the evening, even when Evelyn's comments stung like nettles. "Angela," Evelyn said loudly at the table, "you really should learn to keep up. When Nathaniel speaks about business, it goes right over your head." Laughter rippled around the table. Angela's face burned, but she kept her composure. One guest, trying to be kind, asked Angela, "So, what do you do when you're not keeping the house?" Angela opened her mouth, but Evelyn answered for her. "She shops, she plans little charity things. But Nathaniel, he's the real brain here." Nathaniel smiled, enjoying the charade. "Don't let her fool you," he said, raising his glass. "Ma's right. I carry the load." Angela's chest tightened. She looked at him, her husband, the man she had loved and supported. He didn't even flinch at the lie. The table erupted with praise for Nathaniel. Angela sat quietly, her appetite gone, her pride crumbling. After dinner, she slipped out to the garden, her emerald dress glowing faintly under the moonlight. Her hands shook as she whispered to herself, "Why am I letting them do this to me? This is my life, my work, my house." Behind her, footsteps crunched the gravel. Evelyn appeared, her arms folded. "There you are," Evelyn said sharply. "Hiding away? Can't handle a little truth." Angela turned slowly. "Truth? What you call truth is a lie." Evelyn smirked. "Lie? Everyone knows a woman like you doesn't make this kind of life. Nathaniel is the man here. He built this. You should be grateful." Angela's voice trembled, but her eyes were fierce. "You don't know me. You don't know what I built. I've fought for every inch of this, and I will not let you take that from me." Evelyn stepped closer, her eyes flashing. "Then prove it. Because right now, all I see is a gold digger playing dress up." At that moment, Nathaniel came outside. He looked from his mother to Angela, his jaw tight. "Angela," he said flatly, "Ma's right. You should leave. Maybe for a while." Angela blinked, stunned. "Leave? From my own house?" Nathaniel's face was cold. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be. You've disrespected my mother enough. This is my family's home. If you can't respect that, maybe you should go." Angela felt her knees weaken. She searched his face for any trace of love, any flicker of the man she married. But there was nothing. Only pride and cruelty. Her voice cracked. "After everything, after all I've done for us, you're choosing her over me." Nathaniel looked away. "You brought this on yourself." Evelyn crossed her arms, satisfied. "You heard him. Pack your things." For a moment, the world spun. Angela felt like the ground beneath her had disappeared. But then, deep in her chest, something shifted. Her heart ached, but her spirit refused to break. She lifted her chin, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Fine. I'll go. But remember this night, Nathaniel. Remember who truly built this house." And with that, Angela walked back into the mansion, her steps steady despite the storm inside her. She gathered her things quietly, ignoring the smug look on Evelyn's face. As she closed the front door behind her, the night air wrapped around her like a cold embrace. Her voice was low, but resolute. This isn't the end. Not by far. And in that moment, Angela Grant, the woman they tried to erase, was reborn. Angela sat in the quiet of her best friend Jasmine Wright's apartment. The air smelled faintly of lavender candles, and the couch cushions were soft against her trembling body. For the first time in years, Angela felt small. Her mansion, her sanctuary, was behind enemy lines, claimed by her husband and his mother. Jasmine, curvy and fiery, with a sharp bob haircut and a sharper tongue, watched her from across the room. "Girl," Jasmine finally said, shaking her head, "I told you that man wasn't built to handle a woman like you." Angela wiped her eyes. "It's not just him. It's his mother too. She threw me out of my own house, Jas. My own house." Jasmine leaned forward, eyes blazing. "And you walked out like a queen. That's the only thing I'm proud of. But you know what you're gonna do next, right?" Angela frowned. "I don't even know where to start." Jasmine snapped her fingers. "Start with the truth. You built that empire, Angela. Not Nathaniel. Not Evelyn. You. And last I checked, your name is the only one on those deeds." Angela's lips tightened. "But if I fight, I'll look bitter. Like I'm out for blood." Jasmine laughed bitterly. "Bitter? Honey, you don't fight for revenge. You fight for respect. You fight so no one ever confuses your kindness with weakness again. Now, tell me, do you want your house back?" Angela's jaw clenched. "Yes." "Do you want them out of your life?" "Yes." "Then call Marcus." Angela hesitated. "Marcus Reed." "Yes," Jasmine said firmly. "The best lawyer in Atlanta. Didn't he handle that lawsuit last year when that developer tried to steal your land? You need him now." Angela closed her eyes. For the first time since walking out of the mansion, a spark flickered inside her chest. Not rage, not sorrow, but resolve. The next morning, Angela met with Marcus Reed in his office downtown. Marcus was tall, with salt and pepper hair, and carried the calm authority of a man who had won battles others thought impossible. "Angela," he said, shaking her hand firmly. "Jasmine told me what happened. You don't have to explain the details. I already know the type of man Nathaniel is." Angela sank into the leather chair. I let it go on too long. I never corrected him when he lied to his mother, to friends. I thought I was protecting his pride." Marcus folded his hands on the desk. "Pride doesn't need protection when it's built on truth. Nathaniel's pride is built on sand. And right now, he's trying to stand on your foundation." Angela swallowed hard. "Can I take back my house?" Marcus leaned back, a small smile tugging at his lips. "Angela, you don't need to take it back. You never lost it. Legally, it's yours. Your name is on the deed. Your company bought the land. You paid every bill. All I need is a judge's order, and Nathaniel and his mother won't be able to step foot on that property without your permission." Angela exhaled shakily, relief and strength mixing in her chest. "So, I can make them leave?" Marcus nodded. "Not only that. You can make a statement. They humiliated you publicly, Angela. When you walk back into that mansion, you'll do it with every piece of paper proving it's yours. They'll have no defense, no escape." "But—" Angela leaned forward. "But what?" Marcus studied her face. "Once you do this, it's final. Nathaniel won't forgive it. His mother certainly won't. You won't just be reclaiming your house, you'll be ending your marriage." Angela's eyes burned, but she didn't look away. "Marcus, my marriage ended the night he chose his mother's lies over my truth." For the first time in days, Angela sat straighter. Her voice was steady. "Do it. File the papers. And when it's time, I'll walk back into that house like I never left. That evening, Jasmine poured 2 glasses of wine. So, what's the plan, sis? Angela took her glass, her hands no longer shaking. The plan is simple. Marcus is filing everything tomorrow. Once it clears, I'm going home. But this time, I'm not knocking. I'm not asking permission. I'm walking in with security. Jasmine grinned. Now that's the Angela I know. The one who built half this city and still had time to volunteer at the youth center. Angela smiled faintly. They thought they broke me, Jas. But they just reminded me of who I am. And with that, the comeback had begun. 2 weeks later, on a golden afternoon, the mansion sat perched like a jewel on the hill. Inside, Evelyn lounged in the living room, sipping tea, while Nathaniel scrolled through his phone. They had grown comfortable, too comfortable, living in Angela's palace, entertaining guests, and basking in false glory. Son, Evelyn said smugly, we should host another dinner party. People need to see what a true provider looks like. Nathaniel smirked. Yeah, maybe next week. At that moment, the sound of car engines rumbled outside. Evelyn frowned. Who's that? Nathaniel stood and walked to the window. His face paled. It's Angela. Angela's black SUV pulled up the driveway, followed by 2 other cars. Out stepped Angela in a tailored white suit, her hair sleek, her eyes sharp as steel. Beside her were Marcus Reed and 2 private security officers in black suits. Evelyn stood, her teacup rattling in its saucer. What is she doing here? The front doors opened, and Angela walked in without hesitation. Her heels clicked against the marble floor, echoing through the house. Nathaniel's jaw tightened. You can't just walk in here. Angela's voice was calm but deadly precise. I don't need permission, Nathaniel. This is my house. Marcus placed a thick envelope on the dining table and slid it toward Nathaniel. Court order. Deed. Bank records. Utility bills. Every legal document says the same thing. Angela Grant is the sole owner of this property. Effective immediately, you and your mother are trespassing. Evelyn's face flushed red. This is nonsense. My son built this home. Everyone knows it. Angela turned her gaze on Evelyn, her voice sharp but even. Everyone believed it. But believing a lie doesn't make it true. Look around, Mrs. Bradford. Every wall, every floorboard, every chandelier, I built it. And today, I'm taking it back. Nathaniel laughed bitterly, though his eyes flickered with panic. You wouldn't throw your husband out of his home. That's cruel. Angela's lips curved into the faintest smile. You threw me out first, remember? You made that choice, Nathaniel. Now live with it. Marcus nodded to the security officers. Escort them out. The officers stepped forward. Nathaniel's bravado cracked. He grabbed his mother's arm. You can't do this to us. Where are we supposed to go? Angela's eyes were steady, cold with finality. That's not my problem anymore. Evelyn's voice rose, trembling with rage. You ungrateful woman. My son gave you everything. Angela stepped closer, her voice dropping to a razor's edge. No, Mrs. Bradford. I gave him everything. And he wasted it. Just like he wasted me. Gasps came from the staff who had gathered silently in the hallway, witnessing the confrontation. The very people Evelyn had barked orders at now stood watching her shame unfold. The officers guided Evelyn and Nathaniel toward the door. Evelyn resisted, tears streaming down her face. Angela, please. Don't do this. You'll regret it. Angela didn't flinch. The only thing I regret is not standing up for myself sooner. Nathaniel's mask finally cracked. He shouted, his voice breaking. You'll come crawling back. You can't live without me. Angela tilted her head, her eyes calm and merciless. Watch me. The doors shut behind them with a final, echoing thud. The mansion was silent again, but this time, it was Angela's silence, steady, powerful, unshaken. Marcus turned to her. "It's done." Angela exhaled, her shoulders finally relaxing. She looked around the house she had once felt exiled from, and a quiet smile spread across her face. "Welcome home, Angela," Jasmine said softly, stepping in from the doorway where she had been watching. Angela walked slowly through the foyer, her heels clicking like thunder, reclaiming every inch of space with each step. The house no longer felt like a battlefield. It was hers again, and no one would ever take it from her. That night, Angela stood on the balcony, gazing out at the city lights. Her heart was heavy, but her spirit was unbroken. She whispered into the night, "They thought they could erase me, but you can't erase what was built on truth." And somewhere in the distance, Nathaniel and Evelyn drove away, their empire of lies crumbling in their wake. The day after Angela reclaimed her mansion, the city buzzed. News traveled fast in Atlanta's tight circles of wealth and power. Word spread through whispers at church, at country clubs, and in beauty salons. "Did you hear Angela Grant kicked her husband and his mama out? Said the house was hers all along. I always wondered how Nathaniel afforded all that. Didn't he used to be a trainer? Angela was the breadwinner. He just played the part." Nathaniel heard the whispers too. He felt them burning holes in his back whenever he stepped outside. Once, he had basked in admiration. Now, he carried the weight of humiliation. At a small cafe downtown, Nathaniel sat across from two old friends he used to impress with tales of his empire. "Man, what really happened?" one asked cautiously. "People saying Angela had the house in her name." Nathaniel forced a laugh, though his eyes were bloodshot. "Don't believe everything you hear. You'll know me. I provided that life. Angela she twisted things." His friends exchanged uneasy glances. One finally said, "Nate, we saw the court documents. They are public. Her name's the only one on the deed." The laugh caught in Nathaniel's throat. He slammed his coffee down, spilling some on the table. "She's nothing without me. You hear me? Nothing." Heads turned in the cafe. His friends leaned back, embarrassed. Nathaniel realized too late how desperate he sounded. They left quickly after that, muttering excuses. He watched them go, rage boiling in his gut. Evelyn, meanwhile, was unraveling in her own way. She had moved with Nathaniel into a cramped apartment, a far cry from the mansion's marble halls. The walls were thin, the furniture cheap, and the air smelled of stale cigarettes from the neighbor upstairs. She sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the peeling paint. Her son sat slouched at the table, scrolling endlessly on his phone. "Nathaniel," she said quietly, "tell me the truth. Did you really build that house?" Nathaniel didn't look up. "Ma, don't start." Her voice cracked. "I stood by you. I humiliated that woman. I called her names. I threw her out of her own house." Evelyn's voice trembled. "If it was really hers, why didn't you tell me?" Finally, Nathaniel looked up, his eyes blazing with frustration. "Because you wouldn't understand. You always expect me to be perfect, to be the provider, the man who does it all. You wanted me to shine, Ma. So I gave you something to believe in." Evelyn's lips trembled. "So you lied. And you let me believe the lie." Nathaniel slammed his phone on the table. "What was I supposed to do? Admit my wife was more successful than me? Admit I was just her plus one? You don't know what that does to a man." Silence filled the room. Evelyn stared at him, tears welling. For the first time, she didn't see her strong, capable son. She saw a man consumed by envy, eaten alive by pride. Softly, she whispered, "You didn't just lie to me. You lied to yourself. And you dragged me down with you." Nathaniel's shoulders sagged, but he said nothing. Evelyn turned away, pressing a trembling hand to her mouth. The illusion of her perfect son had shattered, leaving only shards that cut her deeper with every breath. Days turned into weeks. Nathaniel tried to call old friends, but they didn't answer. He tried to walk into exclusive clubs, only to be turned away. Even some of his old lovers, women who had once flocked to him when he was Angela's rich husband, ignored his calls. His pride, his identity, his reputation, all had crumbled. He was left with nothing but bitterness. Angela, meanwhile, was flourishing. The press covered her story with admiration. Angela Grant reclaims her mansion in powerful legal victory. Philanthropist proves resilience after public betrayal. Nathaniel saw the headlines and threw his phone across the room. The screen shattered, but it didn't silence the truth. He whispered to himself, almost in a growl, "She thinks she's won. But this isn't over." But deep down, he knew. It was over. And it was his own doing. One rainy afternoon, Angela sat in the study of her mansion, reviewing plans for a new housing project. The sound of rain tapping against the tall windows was soothing, a reminder that storms always passed. The house was quiet now. No Evelyn rearranging furniture, no Nathaniel smirking as he soaked in false praise. Just Angela, her staff, and the warmth of peace. Her assistant peeked in. "Ms. Grant, there's a woman here to see you. Says her name is Evelyn Bradford." Angela's pen froze mid-stroke. Her heart tightened. For a moment, she considered saying, "Send her away." But then she straightened her shoulders. "Let her in," she said calmly. Moments later, Evelyn entered, her posture less rigid than Angela remembered. The sharpness in her eyes was gone, replaced with something softer, shame. She looked smaller, older, her umbrella dripping on the marble floor. "Angela," Evelyn began, her voice unsteady. "Thank you for seeing me." Angela leaned back in her chair, her face unreadable. "What do you want, Mrs. Bradford?" Evelyn clasped her hands, her knuckles white. "I came to apologize." Angela raised an eyebrow. "Apologize?" "Yes." Evelyn's voice cracked. "I was cruel to you. I judged you, insulted you, called you names. I believed my son's lies because I wanted to. I wanted to see him as a man who provided, who stood tall. I didn't want to face the truth." Angela's eyes stayed steady, though her chest tightened. Evelyn continued. "I threw you out of your own house. I shamed you in front of people. I failed you as a mother-in-law, as a woman. And now, I see the damage I caused. I was wrong." Angela let the silence hang heavy. The only sound was the rain outside. Finally, she spoke. "Do you know what it felt like, Mrs. Bradford? To build something from the ground up, to sacrifice years of my life, and then be called a parasite in my own home? To be told I was nothing, while my husband and his mother took credit for everything I'd achieved." Tears rolled down Evelyn's cheeks. "I know. And I am so sorry." Angela's gaze softened for a moment, then hardened again. "I believe you're sorry. But that doesn't mean I can let you back into my life." Evelyn flinched. "Angela, please. I'm not asking to live here. I just don't want you to hate me forever." Angela's voice was calm, steady, but firm. "I don't hate you. Hatred takes too much energy. What I feel is distance. And that distance is going to stay. Because forgiveness doesn't mean access." Evelyn's lips trembled. "So that's it." Angela nodded slowly. "That's it. I forgive you, Mrs. Bradford. But you and your son will never have a place in this house again." Evelyn's shoulders sagged. For a moment, she seemed about to argue, but then she simply nodded. "I understand." She turned to leave, her steps heavy. At the door, she paused and looked back, her eyes glistening. "You're stronger than I ever gave you credit for, Angela. Stronger than me. I pray one day my son sees that too." Angela didn't answer. She simply watched Evelyn disappear into the rain. That night, Angela sat by the fireplace, Jasmine across from her. She told her what happened. So, she finally admitted the truth, Jasmine said, sipping her tea. Yes, Angela murmured. And she wanted forgiveness. And did you give it? Angela stared into the flames. I gave her forgiveness. But not a key to my life. That part stays locked. Jasmine smiled, proud. That's the Angela I know. Strong. Unshaken. Untouchable. Angela's lips curved into a faint smile. For the first time, she felt light. The weight of Evelyn's disdain was gone. The lies were gone. All that remained was truth. And in truth, Angela had found freedom. It was a crisp autumn morning when Angela agreed to meet Nathaniel one last time. Not at her mansion, that chapter was closed, but at Marcus Reed's office downtown, neutral ground where truth left no shadows to hide in. Angela arrived in a tailored grey suit, her presence calm and steady. She had spent weeks rebuilding her life, restoring peace to her mansion, and focusing on her business. Yet a part of her still needed closure. Marcus greeted her warmly. He's already inside. Are you sure you're ready for this? Angela nodded. I need to end it properly. No loose threads. When she entered the conference room, Nathaniel was already seated. His once polished appearance was gone. His shirt was wrinkled, his eyes tired, and the confidence he used to wear like cologne had faded. For a moment, Angela almost didn't recognize the man she had once loved. Angela, he said quietly, rising to his feet. She nodded politely. Nathaniel. They sat across from each other, Marcus at the head of the table with a folder of papers. The silence was heavy, broken only by the soft hum of the air conditioning. Nathaniel finally leaned forward, his voice raw. I wanted to see you. To talk. Without lawyers, without my mother, without everything. Angela's eyes were steady. Talk, then. He ran a hand through his hair. I know I messed up. I lied. I let my pride eat me alive. I let my mother tear us apart, and I didn't stop her. I should have defended you. I should have been honest. And now, his voice cracked. Now I've lost everything. Angela studied him quietly. His words, once they might have softened her. Now, they only confirmed what she already knew. You didn't just lose everything, Nathaniel, she said calmly. You threw it away. Every chance I gave you, every kindness, every silence I held when you lied, you took it and twisted it. And when it mattered most, you chose your mother's lies over our truth. Nathaniel's eyes filled with tears. I thought I was protecting my pride. I didn't realize I was destroying my marriage. Angela sighed softly. Pride is loud. Love is quiet. You chose the noise. He lowered his gaze, shame thick in his silence. Marcus cleared his throat and slid the folder across the table. This is the settlement agreement. Angela has decided to be generous. You'll receive a modest financial settlement to help you move forward, but the house, the business, the assets, all remain hers. There will be no alimony. Nathaniel's jaw tightened. He opened the folder, scanning the numbers. This is nothing compared to what I lost. Angela's voice sharpened, but stayed calm. It's more than you deserve. I don't owe you a thing, Nathaniel. But I'm not here to destroy you. I'm here to free myself from you. Nathaniel looked up, his voice breaking. Angela, please. Give me another chance. I'll do better this time. No lies, no pride, no. Angela cut him off. Stop. The word was firm, final. She leaned forward, her eyes piercing into his. You don't get another chance. Not after you threw me out of my own home. Not after you stood there and watched your mother call me a parasite. That's not something you undo with apologies. Nathaniel swallowed hard. Tears slid down his cheeks, but Angela's face stayed steady. I'm giving you this settlement, she continued, because I refuse to let bitterness tie me to you. Take it, move on, and rebuild your life. But you will never rebuild it on my name again. Nathaniel's lips trembled. So that's it. After everything we had. Angela's voice softened, though her words cut deep. What we had was love. What we lost was trust. And once trust is gone, there is nothing left. She slid the pen across the table. Sign it, Nathaniel. End this chapter with some dignity. For a long moment, he stared at her, searching for weakness, for softness, for the woman who once bent over backward to protect his pride. But she wasn't there anymore. With a shaking hand, Nathaniel signed the papers. His tears stained the page, but Angela didn't flinch. Marcus gathered the documents. It's done. Angela stood, smoothing her suit jacket. She looked down at Nathaniel one last time. Goodbye, Nathaniel. I hope you find yourself, the real you, not the one you pretended to be. And then she walked out, leaving him behind. For the first time in years, Angela felt truly free. Weeks turned into months, and Angela's life blossomed like spring after a long, harsh winter. The mansion, once filled with tension and humiliation, now pulsed with life and laughter. She redecorated, not to erase the past, but to reclaim every corner with her own energy. Warm colors replaced the cold ones Evelyn had insisted on. Family photos of Angela with her parents and friends filled the walls. She filled the house with people who brought joy, her staff, her childhood friends, business partners who respected her, and young entrepreneurs she mentored. The mansion became more than a home. It became a hub of growth, resilience, and community. One sunny afternoon, Angela stood at a ribbon-cutting ceremony for her newest project, a housing development for single mothers, built to give them a safe and affordable place to raise their children. The cameras flashed, the crowd cheered, and Angela smiled brightly as she cut the red ribbon. Reporters surrounded her. Ms. Grant, what inspired this project? One asked. Angela's voice was strong, warm, and unwavering. I know what it's like to be underestimated. I know what it's like to be told you're not enough, to have your worth questioned. This project is about giving women a foundation no one can take away. A home built not just of walls and windows, but of dignity and strength. The crowd applauded, and Angela's heart swelled. This was her purpose, not just building houses, but building lives. That evening, back at her mansion, Angela stood on the balcony with Jasmine. They sipped wine as the city lights glittered below. You did it, sis, Jasmine said proudly. You turned pain into power. They tried to break you, but look at you now. Angela smiled softly. I had to lose what I thought was everything to realize I already had it, myself. Jasmine raised her glass. To never mistaking kindness for weakness again. Angela clinked her glass against Jasmine's. To standing tall, no matter what. Later that night, Angela walked through the halls of her mansion, now echoing not with disdain but with peace. She paused at the front door, the same door she had once walked out of with nothing but heartbreak. She whispered to herself, "This is my house, my life, my story." And with that, she closed the door gently behind her, sealing the past once and for all. Angela Grant had been broken, humiliated, cast aside. But she rose again, stronger than ever, her empire intact, her dignity unshaken. The house that love built had almost been stolen. But in reclaiming it, Angela discovered a greater truth. No one could ever take away what she had built inside herself. And that truth made her unstoppable. If you were Angela, would you have given Nathaniel another chance, or walked away just like she did? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because I want to hear from you. And if this story moved you, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next chapter in Angela's journey.